Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another Rise of Kingdoms episode from your very own Shappy Gaming. Today, I have some very exciting news about the new Archer commanders coming to Rise of Kingdoms. As you can see, we've got Boudica Prime and Henry V, and I can tell you it's gonna suck for everyone who tries to go against them. So, if you haven't already, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Going to be right around my face here. And hit the bell so you get notified when new episodes do come out. Leave a like if you enjoy. You know what to do. So, let's get into it. We're going to talk about the different commanders. We're going to read out their skills. And then I'm going to pull up Rise of Kingdoms itself. And we're going to talk through which commanders I think are probably going to be good pairs for them. And what each commander is really going to excel at. So, with that, let's get into it. The first commander we're going to be covering is Boudica. We're all very familiar with Boudica. She was an epic commander. Now we're getting Boudica Prime. This does seem to be a new trend that we're seeing. First it was Scipio, now it's Boudica. Who's it going to be next? Markswoman? So, the first skill that Boudica has is Revenge of the Asini. Deals direct damage to current target, 2,300 damage factor. That's pretty significant. And increases their skill damage taken by 35%. This also reduces their march speed by 30% for 3 seconds. So, couple things. Direct damage to current target. So we're not seeing AoE here. It's really going to be a one-on-one skill. But that increases their skill damage taken is going to be huge. Because A, if you're running Boudica in a 5-march pair and you're swarming someone, if you've got a bunch of other nukers, then that's going to make a big difference. So that's a pretty robust skill. That's pretty nice to start. Next, increases archer units' attack by 30% and their march speed by 10%. If troops led by Boudica archer units, they're gonna have to fix their grammar here. Defense increases by 30% when the troop has fewer than 80% of units remaining. So this means that Boudica is still gonna be tanky, even if she's taken some damage, even if she's out in the field for a little while. That's kind of a nice skill. I believe they did have something like this with maybe El Cid, but he was not viable. Sorry, all the El Cid lovers out there. But this is nice. Right now I'm seeing Boudica in the field because we got that march speed and we've got the attack. Let's see what else we got. Reduces skill damage taken by troops by 35% while on the map. When taking skill damage, damage for the troop's next normal attack has a 50% chance to increase by 25% and 25% chance to increase by 50%. Can trigger once every 7 seconds. So this is huge. This is going to make Boudica much tankier than some of the other archer commanders that we have today. Because that reducing skill damage taken by 35% is pretty significant. The next troop normal attack damage doesn't really get me all that excited because normal attack damage isn't very large. Also, there's a 7-second cooldown on that skill, so we'll see how it holds up in the field. But Boudica is definitely starting to shape up as a field archer commander. That's the trend we're seeing here. The next one, we got a new passive skill. That's her expertise. Or is it her expertise? Yeah, that's weird. They did this backwards. Increases the damage dealt by archers by 10%, and when under control effects, the troop has an 80% chance to dispel them. So we'll have to look at which commander inflicts these control effects. We're going to pull up ROK next, so that's no problem. But the damage dealt by archers by 10% is pretty significant, because you're going to be running full archer marches with Boudica. But I need to see who's giving those control effects. And the fourth skill, because they did this backwards, is when attacking troops receive healing factor 800 after using active skills, and archers deal 5% increased damage to infantry. The healing effect can trigger once every 7 seconds. So that's not a huge healing factor, but it is going to help really keep Boudica in the field. That said, I would not rely on the healing factor to make all that much difference. It's just kind of a nice to have if you're out there. And if you do have that the 80% less remaining, then you do get that defense buff as well. So not bad. The 5% damage to increase to infantry is nice. It's just keeping the rock, paper, scissors. Okay, So there's Boudica. Initial impression, I think she's probably going to be a field commander. I don't see her being terribly useful for rallies. I also don't see her being terribly like earth-shaking even in the field. I mean, she'll be useful. She'll be a nice archer commander, but if you're only running one archer march in the field, I'm not convinced it should be Boudica yet. Next, the commander that I am really excited for, and that is Henry V. So Henry V, looking at his top skills here, he's an archer, conquering, and support. That's pretty good. He looks to me to be a rally commander. I've read through his skills a couple times, but I'll read through them with you guys. So rage requirement of 1,000, same as Boudica. It's kind of the norm. Deals direct damage to current target, but with a damage factor of 2,300. Love that. And reduces troops' skill damage taken by 30% for 5 seconds. So that's awesome because that's going to make his marches much tankier. If he is rallying, then he's going to reduce any skill damage coming from Zeno, coming from Flavius, coming from anyone who he's attacking. And that is a pretty significant damage factor there. So let's keep going. The next skill I'm excited about. This is the third skill. Again, they did this out of order, but that's okay. When attacking strongholds in governor cities, troops deal 30% more counterattack damage and have a 10% chance to increase damage taken by the target by 30% for 3 seconds. This effect triggers once every 5 seconds. This is a big deal. This skill is probably the best skill that Henry V has. 1, archers do not have a unswarmable rally right now. We've been asking for it, we've been looking for it, and this is finally the unswarmable rally that we've been looking for archers. 30% counterattack damage is going to make a huge difference when you're trying to swarm this march. Also, the 10% chance to increase damage by the target by 30% for 3 seconds, that's pretty significant. We already have a protection buff here, which is skill damage taken reduction of 30%. And now we've got one that's a debuff of 30%. And skill damage is huge. When we go through which commanders I'm thinking he should go with, the one that's really sitting top of mind for me is Nebu. Because major nuke damage, and you get a little bit of AoE and counterattack. We'll get to him. But let's continue on. Excited about Henry V. Welsh longbows. This is the passive skill. This is his second skill. Increases archer units' attack by 20% and their defense by 20%. They also gain an 20% increased march speed outside of Alliance territory. So the march speed I don't really care much about. You're probably going to be running a rally with Henry. I guess you could use him otherwise, but you're losing this massive buff right here. That's pretty good. For a rally, the 20% attack, 20% defense is going to be nice. That said, you're really going to want to make sure that your equipment is health if you're running him, because you're already getting coverage on your attack and defense. And the fourth skill, Battle of Agincourt. Archers led by this commander deal 10% more damage, and when attacked, there is a 10% chance to deal direct damage to the target, damage factor 800. So this is huge because not only does it mean that they can deal 10% more damage, and this could be to any march attacking them. Again, swarm damage. You don't want to hit Henry V. The 10% more damage means counterattack damage. That means normal attack damage. That means skill damage. That's a big deal. And with the 10% chance to deal direct damage to the target, this is when attacked. So think of Herald. If you have Herald in the field, he deals damage when attacked, which is why he's so swarm-proof, because if you're any march that's attacking Henry is going to have a 10% chance of taking this 800 skill damage. So that's, you don't want to mess with him. You definitely don't want to swarm him. And our passive skill, which is Expertise, is when a troop's rage reaches 70%, they deal 30% more normal attack damage. Otherwise, they take 20% less normal attack damage. So this is huge. We've never seen a buff that kind of kicks in when rage is still regenerating, but this lets Henry continue to deal more normal attack damage when he doesn't have, skill damage coming out. And so this is an attack buff and a defense buff on that normal attack damage, which is huge. I'm thinking of maxing Flavius, and I don't know. Henry's looking pretty good. So Initial impressions of Henry. I think he's really going to be a rally commander. He's going to be probably meta changing. I think he's probably going to be the new Archer meta. And I'm really excited about him. I'm pumped about him. So let's pull up Rise of Kingdoms now and show you guys who I think he'll go with. So here we are. We've got our Rise of Kingdoms up. And the first commander that we're going to talk to is going to be Gilgamesh. So as you all know, Gilgamesh is the current rally commander that you're going to be wanting to throw against Zeno. Obviously, if you get swarmed, it's not great because Gilgamesh is not swarm proof. So let's click open some talents. Gilgamesh deals direct damage to the current target, damage factor of 1500, that's all right, and reduces their health by 30% for 3 seconds. So health debuff is pretty significant. That's really nice. It decreases your opponent's ability to really hurt you. So that's nice. Let's look through the next one. Archer commanders gain 30% increased health and deal 20% increased damage to enemy troops that have fewer than 50% of units remaining. So the increased health is going to be nice. We don't see him recovering health, so this is really gonna help augment that. The 20% damage to enemy troops with less than 50% doesn't matter so much because hopefully your opponents are reinforcing their structures. Next, archers led by this commander gain 20% increased attack when attacking cities or strongholds, and gain a 5% attack bonus every 6 seconds. The bonus lasts 10 seconds and stacks up to 6 times. So this is one of the reasons why Gilgamesh is so lethal when he's rallying, and that's because the longer the rally goes on, Gilgamesh is going to get stronger with this stack, and it is a stronghold buff, and that adds more attack. So Gilgamesh is looking like he could work with Henry. Let's look at the next skill. Troops led by this commander take 15% less damage from normal attacks, and the normal attacks have a 30% chance of inflicting a blood-craving debuff on the target's afflicted troops suffer damage when healed, and take 15% increased skill damage. So this is Gilgamesh's crowning glory, the blood-craving debuff. And this really sucks for Zeno, because Zeno does a lot of healing. This blood craving is going to really make that hurt. And the increased skill damage of 15% could be a big difference for Henry, because he's already dealing so much skill damage, and he also has his own skill damage buff. So I'm seeing a lot of synergies between these two commanders, and I am seeing health coverage, which none of the other commanders have. So Gilgamesh is looking like a pretty good setup. And this is the same skill as the last. So we will go on to our next commander. And that is going to be Nebu. So Nebu, I think on paper, is probably the commander with the best synergy for Henry. And I'll talk about why. So first, your first skill is deals direct damage and forward-facing fan. So we've got AoE damage. You guys all know that. And damage dealt to each target is reduced by 15% per additional target. And at the same time deals additional damage to the current target, damage factor of 500. That's pretty good. It's about as much skill damage as I think Gilgamesh is dealing, right? Let's see. Yep, same amount of skill damage that Gilgamesh is dealing. So you've got that same skill damage and a little bit more for your target that you're hitting. And archer units led by this commander getting 30% increased defense and 15% increased march speed. March speed is a little bit less important here, but that defense is going to be huge because when you're launching a rally, you want to be swarm proof. And as I'm sure a lot of you know, defense is better for when you're going to be swarmed than attack. And so defense is going to be really nice here in a rally where you're probably not wanting to be swarmed. This next skill is really going to be what makes the difference for me. When this commander leads a rally attack, counterattack damage is increased by 30%, and incoming attacks have a 10% chance to deal direct damage to the attacker, damage factor 800, and reduce their march speed by 30%. This is very similar to Henry's skill that we just saw. And what this means is you're now going to have a counterattack damage increase of a ton, and it's going to make a big difference. So let me see if I can pull it up here again. So here we go. If I go back over to Henry and we look at his counterattack damage skill, when attacking strongholds and cities, troops deal 30% more counterattack damage and have a 10% chance to increase damage taken. And then when we look down here, we see when attacked, there's a 10% chance to deal direct damage to the target. So we're talking about potentially a 60% counterattack damage buff for this pair. You don't want to swarm them. They will ruin your day. And we also have the 10% chance twice from 2 different commanders. So this is really big. Next, troops led by this commander deal 15% increased damage, and each normal attack has a 10% chance to reduce the target's rage by 100. This effect can trigger once every 3 seconds. So this is really nice because not only are you getting the increased skill damage, you're getting increased all damage. So this is counterattack damage. Again, 60% plus now an extra 15%. Mind-blowing. Skill damage, counterattack damage, normal attack damage, which we also see Henry have another buff for. And you have a nice little rage debuff here, which is good. Keeps Xeno's skill from triggering too frequently, which means healing less. So you may not have the healing debuff there, but this is pretty substantial. And this is the expertise. It's just the same skill as the other. Let's look over some other archer commanders just to play it fair. Elcid, we're going to skip. Hope you guys don't mind. I just don't think he's going to make the cut. Let's look. YSG. I know you guys are probably wondering, is YSG going to be a good pair for Henry? Maybe? So let's get into it. Damages up to 5 enemy troops in a fan-shaped area. We all know this. 1,400 damage dealt, reduced by 15%. That's less skill damage than Nebu. I will say that. It is circular, which is nice. If you have the expertise, you've got 5 damage in a circle, which is more. So that's 1,700 damage, which is nice. That is more than Nebu with the expertise. So that's not bad. Next is troops led by this commander have a 10% chance to gain extra 100 rage for each normal attack. So extra rage is going to mean your skills are proccing more often. This is good. For the next 3 seconds, all archer units led by this commander gain 100% increased attack. That's pretty substantial. In a rally situation, this is nice. This is a nice setup that we're seeing here. I'm not convinced yet because you have no defense and you have no health. Next, garrison. That's not going to help anything here. And last but not least, troops led by this commander gain 30% increased skill damage. So the skill damage is going to be nice. My biggest concern here with pairing with Henry is going to be your defense and your health. Like candidly, you can put them together and it would probably be a glass cannon where you're just dealing tons of damage. But I think it will be a little bit more swarmable. I don't think that counterattack damage is quite enough because right now if you run Nebu YSG, it can be swarmed and you will get negative reports. So I really don't want that to be the same thing with Henry. Whereas I think if you put Nebu and Henry together, the counterattack damage is going to be so much. You don't want to swarm that march. That's going to hurt. So viable as a glass cannon. I don't think I would use it as my go-to rally pair. And we got Ramses here. Deals additional damage per second to the target. Damage factor of 800. Let's look at the expertise. Yeah. For the next 2 seconds, target takes additional damage per second. Damage factor 1,000, and its defense is decreased by 30%. Meanwhile, it's inflicted with heal immune effect for 2 seconds. So this may work really well with Henry. Because you're decreasing your target's defense. And Xeno can't heal, which you love. And you're dealing a pretty substantial amount of damage. So this is looking good so far. While on the map, archer units led by this commander gain 20% increased attack. So you're dealing more damage. Love that. Actually, it's 40% if it's expertise. When troops led by this commander consist of only archers, they take 10% less skill damage, or 30% less skill damage. And when attacked, they have a 10% chance to gain 40% attack and 40% march speed. So this is pretty big, and the reason I think that is because of the skill damage reduction and the archer attack bonus. That's going to be really nice. Henry does cover a lot of this already, but more attack is good. That said, in KVK, all of the tech is attack-based, so you really do want to cover defense and health. Next, normal attacks of this troop led by this commander have a 10% chance to heal a portion of slightly wounded units, healing factor of 500, and grant troops a 40% increased defense for 3 seconds. So this gives you that extra defense coverage. Ramses may very well be viable with Henry. Personally, I'd like to test it, and I will be testing it. So if you haven't already, do hit that subscribe button right around my face and hit the bell so you get notified so you can see that when it comes out. Ramses may be viable. My hunch is he's going to be less viable than Nebu. Just a hunch. And he's also not swarm proof. So again, you do want that counterattack coverage. You're going to keep hearing me say that. Edward, I can cover, but if I'm going to be honest, Edward is not swarm proof. He does have health. He has a 30% health buff and a 30% March speed bonus, but I don't think he's going to be viable at this. If you want, we can test him. But I'm not convinced. Yeah, I'm not convinced. I don't think Edward's coming back. But who knows? For the expertise skill, we've got 2 seconds after an active skill. All normal attack and counterattack damage deals 50% increased damage. So we'll test it. I think the problem with Edward is going to be his rage regen is so slow. You've got 1350, and he's not all that tanky. But we'll check it out. We'll find out. And the last one, which I think could be a wild card, is really going to be Tamiris. She deals direct damage to the target, damage factor of 1,000, and if the target is already poisoned, removes the poison effect and inflicts poison damage. So you've got a little bit more skill damage there. And if the target has more than 10 stacks, the poison damage is increased even further. So Tamiris' skill makes it so you're going to take a ton of skill damage, which hurts. That poison is not fun. I've been swarmed. It sucks. So maybe that will work. Let's see. I think that maybe Xeno clears the poison damage, though. Let's double check. Maybe not. Yeah, maybe it's Theo that clears the debuff. Yeah. It looks like it is Theo that clears the debuff, so maybe Tamiris is making a comeback. The benefit of Tamiris, though, is if you do get that skill to stack a ton, you probably could swarm the garrison, but, we'll have to see how that works. This second skill kills me because it's only city-based. Really disappointing. Third one, archer units led by this commander gain 30% increased attack, and all attacks have a 10% chance to decrease the target's defense by 30%. Similar to Ramses. Again, my issue here is no defense. Where is the defense? And again, here's another poison skill. Target takes extra 3% damage per stack. That hurts. It hurts a lot. And expertise is nothing special. I don't think Tamiris is going to be viable, just looking at this. A couple of you may want me to cover Artemisia. I don't think it's worth it. She silences herself. She doesn't have the counter to silence. I don't think it's going to be viable. And I don't think a Monitori is going to be viable. So, with that, this has been incredibly exciting. If you're as pumped as I am about these 2 new commanders, let me know in the comment section below. Give me a like. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. And I hope that you've enjoyed. I know I have. Shappy out.